I'll tweet this too. Please tweet it. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Laura Rogers, and this is SharePoint Power Hour. This is a show that we do usually on Wednesdays at 11 Central. Today we're doing it a little later because we are at SP TechCon in Boston, SharePoint Technology Conference. We are actually in sort of a conference room. There's several of us here that I'll show you in a second. But so today's episode, we decided that Lori Gowan and I actually had a session during the time when we would normally have Power Hour, so that's why we made it a little bit later. But we wanted to not skip having Power Hour this week because SharePoint 2016 free download just came out yesterday, so it's very exciting. So we wanted to go ahead and just be able to talk about that and try it out and demo it, and we've installed it. We have a few people that we invited here. We just kind of tweeted it out and said anybody at SP TechCon can show up in this room. So just real quick overview, Power Hour is the idea around it is I'm Laura Rogers, and this is my business solutions team at Rackspace, and Power Hour is just usually about things that you can do in SharePoint and Office 365 out of the box without having to write code or without having to do any kind of crazy PowerShell. And so again, today's episode we're going to talk about SharePoint 2016. So first of all, I'll let you guys that are remote introduce yourselves, and then I'll introduce ourselves here, and then we'll start it's just an informal sort of demo and discussion about new things in 2016. So Ryan, and then Steven, and then Tavis, I'll let you go.
Hey everybody, I'm Ryan Miller. Oh boy, feedback. So my role on the team is the SharePoint branding guy, and I've been doing that for about, I think, 4 years now. I've been working with SharePoint for even longer than that, like 7 or 8 years coming up, I think. I am based out of Colorado, and again, I'm the branding guy, and I guess I'll hand it off to Steven.
Hi everyone, I am sort of the admin geek here on the business solutions team, so I do a lot more of the stuff that we don't normally cover, but I also help customers out when they first get SharePoint. They need a little push to get started when they've got this big new tool in front of them, so I get them started on that and get it prepped for the big guns like Laura and Ryan and Tavis when they want to get into some specialty area like business intelligence or branding or doing crazy things with workflows that really shouldn't be done in any world ever, but Laura will find a way to make them happen.
And my name is Tavis Lovell, and I'm the Business Intelligence Developer on the Business Solutions team. And I've been working with Business Intelligence on Microsoft Stack since around 2005 or so. So I pretty much deal with all things reporting and dashboarding related. I think you're on mute, Laura.
All right, so yeah, we were getting a little feedback because we have it's very loud and projecting on a screen here in the conference room that we're in. So there you are up there. Okay, all right, so here we go. We're going to go around the room. Who are you?
I'm Lori Gowan. I'm a Microsoft PFE. I'm here at SharePoint. SP TechCon, had a few sessions with Laura. I've been playing with SharePoint 2016 for a little while now, and excited to see what the preview has.
All right. The newest member of our Business Solutions team.
Hi, I'm Corey Emmons. I just started at Rackspace about 48 hours ago. What exactly I'll be doing, I'm not sure yet, but I'm sure we'll be having some fun.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey there, I'm Randy Driscoll. I do a lot of UI customization stuff in SharePoint, and at Rackspace I work on the product team, where we work on sort of productizing our offers around SharePoint and Office 365.
And we have a guest over here. Who are you?
Mike Zapp, a community member and a fan.
All right, so we've seen him in the chat room in Power Hour before, so he decided to join us in person. That's pretty cool. We had when we did this at Ignite, we had Carlos from the chat room. He came and showed up in person too. That's pretty cool. All right, so Steven, would you like to go into that 2016 server that you created and share your desktop?
Give me just a second here.
So I'll just kind of give everybody an overview of kind of what we can do when we're talking about SharePoint 2016. I have a virtual machine on my computer, and I actually started the installation process because the installation process alone has a few new things in 2016 that you'll encounter. So I want to go ahead and go through that and show you some of those, and we can talk about some of those, before even, aside from just the way it looks. And then Stephen actually also installed SharePoint 2016 on a server just yesterday, and that one's already ready and it's already up for us to be able to show. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start clicking through the installation, like the configuration wizard on my screen, and show you that. And so that we can have it running. I don't want to sit here and like waiting for, a screen for, working on it for half an hour. But I'm going to go ahead and get some of that running and share my screen and show some of that. So I'll go ahead and share my screen in here. It's kind of, I'm used to having sort of dual screens when I'm doing this from home. So this is going to be interesting. All right, I've got entire screen, share that. And and then you see like a few different dimensions there. All right, so I got to the point where I just clicked the setup button and installed SharePoint, and my cursor is acting very strange in here. And then I'm on the configuration wizard. Oh my gosh, that is
VMware
weird.
really hates you today.
VMware does. I should have restarted VMware. So I'm on the configuration wizard, and I cannot even get it to go. Let me just maximize this. There we go. Alrighty, maybe I won't do that. Stephen, back to you. Do what?
The fit to window. If there's like a button that says fit at the window, that might help you.
That's the one I clicked.
It's like
sure.
if you bring up the full menu again, like instead of the go over to view and go auto size. Here's
auto fit window. Yeah, this is version 11. Stephen, do you have yours pulled up? I might have to just turn off VMware and start it again, just for fun,
I do. I should be sharing my screen there if everybody can see it.
All right, so let me. I think I was sharing mine. I stopped sharing mine, so you can share yours now.
All right, I am sharing. So can everybody see my screen? Anybody see my screen?
Click right down his product key.
There we go. So the product key, anybody who's wondering, it's in the install instructions for SharePoint 2013's technical preview. The technical preview is just a technical preview, so don't count on it being something that you can really start using quickly. And it's limited for 180 days with this product key. So anybody who's installed SharePoint before, the install stuff looks very similar. You run a pre-upgrade installer. It does all of the configuration for you, generally speaking. Then it comes to a screen like this. It asks for the product key. I've got a few screenshots. I cheated a little bit, though, so I didn't do all of them. You just accept the license. You tell it where you want to put the files for SharePoint, and then it kicks off the installation process. Now, it will ask you, after you run the configuration wizard, there's a new section. It's called the MinRole section, and it will ask you what kind of server you're installing SharePoint on. So if you're going to be doing like a full-size SharePoint farm, this allows you to kind of break things down into smaller pieces. Instead of just installing all the SharePoint pieces on every server, you can install only particular components. Unfortunately, that's where I started cheating, because I wasn't really expecting to show these screenshots today during the power hour. So I don't have the MinRole screenshot. I do show after that, though. I run the wizard. And other than that MinRole screen, it very much looks just like any other SharePoint install screen. So there's nothing really exceptional about the install except for the MinRole stuff that unfortunately I didn't keep a screenshot of. Once you get into SharePoint Central Administration, again, it looks an awful lot like the previous version, and there's a reason for that now. Normally we expect there to be a difference between versions of SharePoint that's fairly big. I mean, 2007 didn't look like 2003, 2010 didn't look like 2007, so on and so on. But the reason that things don't look a lot different this time is because of Office 365. Microsoft is trying to keep a certain amount of continuity between the products because they're upgrading more of the back end than they are the front end. So this is going to be sort of silently rolled out, hopefully, through Office 365, and it'll cause as little disruption as possible because there's not a lot of dramatic change to the UI. I've asked around to some of the people who are in the room there with Laura, and everyone agrees that right now there's no real plan for Microsoft to do a dramatic change in the look and feel. So central administration is going to look pretty normal to any of you who spend some time in there. There are a few things kind of under the covers that are a little bit different. One of the things that you will find that is kind of surprising, Excel services is gone. There are no Excel services at all in SharePoint 2016 right now. That may be subject to change, and anything we say here may be subject to change. But Excel services is gone because Microsoft doesn't need that in the product anymore. It's going to be something that they are able to provide other ways, like, say, Office web apps and things like that, so they don't need to roll it into the product. Another thing that you may notice that's significantly different is Project Server is now rolled into the product. So Project is part of SharePoint now. So again, this could be subject to change. It could be a matter of licensing in the future. So there may be an additional level of licensing before you have Project available to you. But it is part of the product now. So it's not necessarily a bolt-in anymore. It's just something that is part of the binaries that are included with SharePoint. Let's see. There aren't a whole lot of huge differences here. Otherwise, you'll notice that right now, Access Services 2010 is still there. So anybody who is wrapping up an Access database inside of SharePoint, that is one of the things that Access Services was useful for.
Hey, Stephen, we've got a question here.
Sure.
Did you, when you're going through the installation process, I hear that there used to be a single install option with SharePoint, and everyone avoided it like the plague because it installed SQL Express, and you don't want that. You want real SQL. So I hear that the single install is a little different now, right?
It is a little bit different.
You don't have to have SQL. You don't have to do SQL Express. It will let you use regular SQL, so you don't have to be afraid of the single server install.
Right, and as a matter of fact, there is no single server install option. Like, it doesn't pop up and say, do you want to do a full install or a single install? It just goes straight into the business of things. And the big difference there is that in the single server install of previous versions of SharePoint, it would put sort of a stripped down version of SQL on the server with SharePoint. Now it doesn't do that. You have to bring your own SQL in somehow, whether you use SQL Express or SQL, Standard or Enterprise or whatever. It has to have a totally separate install of SQL to attach to. And when I say totally separate, I mean, the bits of it are separate. They're not part of the installer. So it could all still be installed on one machine. You still can do, quote unquote, a single server install. And as a matter of fact, that's basically what I've done, except for I have SQL on a different machine. So I have all of SharePoint on one machine here. So all of the stuff with the MinRole choices and all that, you can get around it by just telling it that you want it to be a special role, which is essentially everything, and put it on a server. And so for your test environments and things like that, you can still do it on a single physical server or virtual. But you don't have to avoid any of the options during the install, which makes things nice. There are a couple of small changes in the way that it rolls out the service applications. Probably the biggest change in the service applications is the user profile service application. It looks the same as it did in 2010 and 2013 for the most part, but the big change here is the user profile synchronization service is no longer there. that whole process of being able to sync with Active Directory and pull information out of Active Directory and push information back has been changed. Now we just have what's called the AD import. It pulls information from Active Directory, but it can't push it out to Active Directory. The way you're going to achieve that in the future is you're going to have to use Microsoft Identity Manager, and you're going to have to install that somewhere and then connect SharePoint up to it. So it's going to be a slight change, but anybody who's done a lot of SharePoint installs will tell you that in some ways this may be a good thing. Right now, I'm struggling with an install, probably somewhere in my, my 150th install area, but I have a customer where the UPS just will not start, and we're still not sure why. And it's just been a cranky thing for the last 5 years. And now we're going to be...
I've actually heard, Stephen, I asked about this, and a few people said that they had installed it and the user profile service just worked fine.
Oh, it does. It does. It just doesn't push out. So this is the AD import part. So all it does is AD import. So it can pull from Active Directory, but it can't push back out the way that we used to do that.
What are some examples of times that people have done that? Is that like... What are some things? I mean, there are not many cases where you need to push information from SharePoint to AD, like
Pictures.
user profile pictures. That's one of them that comes to mind.
Pictures are the biggest one, I think.
Yeah.
And so what that is Active Directory can store a bunch of information, but it's not a very accessible tool for a lot of organizations. So the average person doesn't have access to Active Directory on their desktop. So if the organization wants a way for you to be able to put your own picture in there, they can make it so that you can upload your picture into your SharePoint profile, and then SharePoint will push it out to Active Directory. And the same thing with things like phone numbers and stuff like that. If you have a company where they don't supply the phone, or you don't have phones on your desk and you're constantly switching phone numbers, if you can update them in your user profile and then they get updated in Active Directory, then they show up in Exchange and all of that. So that's why people have done it in the past, and it was something that people were very excited about at first, but then they realized in most cases they don't need that much to be pushed out of SharePoint into Active Directory. So I think that's one of the reasons that Microsoft made the decision to kind of pull it back out of the product. That and the fact that the new Microsoft Identity Manager integrates with the Azure products a lot better, and it allows you to sync with online, so it makes the hybrid arrangements a whole lot easier than they would be using the UPS by itself.
A lot of that hybrid stuff and just a lot of things in general just simply aren't turned on yet in this preview, though, right? Is that what you're finding?
Correct.
Hey, Stephen, let's go ahead, and I know we have a lot of people in here that are interested in kind of, I guess, more things that are, how does SharePoint look? Does it look different? And just anything that might be different as far as site features, user interface, and things like that. So maybe we just, there's a ton of admin stuff. I know that's different and that's new.
Right.
But let's kind of switch back and forth. So let's do a little bit for, I know there isn't much with the UI, but let's just kind of show people, I guess.
The biggest thing you're going to see is the top bar. The top bar looks like it does in 365 now. So if you're used to how SharePoint Online looks on Office 365, that's how your on-prem is going to look. It's got the darker bar with the app launcher, which I call the waffle menu, which I'm still waiting on royalties for that to come in. And it's just like a cleaner look at the top. So that's the biggest difference you're going to see. And then inside the pages, things are cleaned up a little bit here and there, but it's very similar to 365.
What about the way you do branding, Randy?
The way you do branding? Well, right now it's very similar. I mean, if you, what I did was I went and compared like the master page and CSS between 2016 and 365, and they're identical. There's zero differences between the master page and CSS between SharePoint 2016 and Office 365. And so if you're used to doing it in 365, it's going to be a very similar process.
All right.
And that's it's interesting. I ran a script that I have that kind of documents a farm, and one of the things I noticed is that right now in some places it actually thinks it is 2013. So some of the the ID numbers and things like that inside of this technical preview are completely identical to 2013. So that's one of the reasons I said that lots of this could be subject to change, because they've got another, probably 3 or 4 months before they even think about coming out with the final product, and they can change a lot of stuff in that time.
So when I was kind of digging around in that team site that you're showing on your screen, I was struggling to find where the new features are. I mean, you kind of have to look around, you kind of have to dig around. I did notice that there is when I went to create a new site collection, there's a new site collection. There are a few new site collection templates, but one of them is called a compliance portal. So I went ahead and created a compliance portal in there, Stephen. It's under sites/compliance. But that's definitely something that's dramatically new. There it is right there. So this is something that you guys might have seen in Office 365. So this concept right here does exist in Office 365 already, but this is something that now you'll be able to have on premises. And it lets you be able to just create some policies around not really retention, but deleting things after a certain amount of time. So, and Todd and I actually covered this in our OneDrive session at Ignite. But
not so much retention, but forced deletion.
Forced deletion, like forced cleanup for things. So, it lets you assign policies for site collections, for how long those should be retained, and policies for templates, for specific site collection templates that are being used, to be able to say, define a policy for when this template is used, this is what the retention is going to be. And then it lets you do policies for my sites and documents. It's been about 5 months since I played around with that, so I don't remember off the top of my head what all the screens look like, but now it's a nice little pretty template you have in 2016. So I don't know if you want to click around in there and just try a couple of those and see what the little example ones look like, but we can delve into that. Again, there isn't a tremendous amount to dig into. I think that you're going to find things here and there. Like I've heard that somebody said that one of their favorite new features is a URL. What's it called?
It's like a durable URL.
Durable link or
it's
durable
like
URL.
That, yeah. Where like if you move the file, the URL that it goes to updates automatically.
Yeah, I've had that happen where you send somebody a link to a document or even like a view or something like that, and then they go to it and it's been moved or the document's been moved, and so yeah, that way people, when they put in their favorites or whatever, it'll just stay with it. I don't know where you find that or if you have to turn it on, but it exists.
I feel like the document library UI is slightly different, but like when you use 365 and you go back and forth between 2013, it's hard to remember what things look like, in one versus the other. But I feel like some of the menus for like sharing and following and like dragging and dropping are like slightly different and more modern looking, just barely, a little bit. But yeah, there's not a lot in the UI that just stands out to you and says this is 2016, like welcome to like a new product or whatever. It's almost like 2013 was pretty great, and now they're bolting on things to let you do bigger files, longer lists, document retention, all that kind of stuff.
I think it's kind of nice in a way that you're not drastically changing things for those poor end users that feel like, oh, I have to learn a whole new thing. So that's kind of good, because I think that Microsoft has gotten a lot of pushback about that around Office 365 and constantly changing the way it looks and changing how to get to things. And so I think that they're being sensitive about not making it too drastic.
Forget the users. What about the admins? They keep moving the stinking site actions menu. I think they're going to have it like where you have to chase it with your mouse now.
It's still on the same side, but it's like notched over like a few inches or whatever, like a little bit darker, bigger.
It's one of those, obviously you've never done phone support.
Oh, yeah.
Click the little wheel. No, not that little wheel.
Not
That's
the one
wheel.
in IE, but the one right below it in SharePoint.
The gray one, not the white
but
one.
But one has less cogs on it, like little notches or whatever. So that's how you
count the notches, and then pick the one with 8 notches.
Another new thing is like the mobile view, but I don't think you could show it. Like you have to literally bring it up on like a phone or a tablet, and I think they've just cleaned it up. And
well, you can do like Mark was showing this morning, question mark mobile equals 1.
Oh, there you go. You could try that, Stephen. Like try to force it with question mark mobile equals 1 at the end of the URL.
Or maybe I can't.
There are no documents.
So.
But see how there's like a little menu in the bottom left?
Yeah, that's the right
hit that,
screen.
and that's like your little fancy
Yeah.
So if you're on a smaller screen, that might look better than
Oh,
if you're on a
nice.
giant desktop.
Yeah.
You should even be able to see some of the responsiveness just by changing the size of the browser, and it'll
Yeah,
go in
maybe.
and out.
What happens if he goes back to like the home page with it?
On the bottom right, yeah.
There you go. Now you're starting to see it.
Yeah. If you want to go back to PC view, on the bottom right, there's 3 ellipses. You can say switch to PC view.
Oh, nice. Huh.
Fancy.
And I think that right there is going to address a lot of concerns that people have had, about SharePoint, because we probably in the last 6 months have gotten a lot of people who, say they want a responsive design done for SharePoint 2013, and that can be a lot of work to do correctly. I think Ryan can Ryan can attest to that.
That is a true statement.
So
The thing,
having something default in is nice.
I don't think you could style it though. So like the mobile view is like a canned like UI, so to speak. So while it is nice, like you couldn't just say like we're gonna make a branded SharePoint site, and then when we move the browser to a smaller size, it's just gonna look like the same design, only smaller, like Respond. In this case, it's a separate UI that's geared towards mobile devices. It is blue and white. Like I don't even know if the themes apply to it or anything like that. Hey, there's a guy.
We have a new,
Completely.
who are you? Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Benjamin Nyland. Hi. No, I just ran here. Conference is going great. I work at ShareGate, and I'm an Office 365 MVP now since I switched. That's who I am.
Nice. And what's your? You have a blog too. That's pretty awesome. I love. What's that?
Write a lot on ShareGate's blog, basically, and try to cover as much as I can that's not code.
There you go. All right. So we were just kind of talking about. Someone asked about what the mobile view looks like. So Steven over here is doing a demo, and he went to the question mark. What was it? Mobile equals 1 to go look at what the mobile view looks like in a library. We talked about the compliance, the new site template, and we're just kind of digging around and talking about a little bit about the branding stuff and a little bit about like I've heard about new features.
And not changed.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the most exciting new feature in that?
Exciting?
Yeah, like what are you jazzed about? You
what-
can't say hybrid because it's not ready yet. It won't be
Exactly.
ready until
I
like,
haven't
the middle
seen
of
that.
September or whatever.
I think there is nothing that gets me super excited unless Bill Baer talks about it. Then I get excited again.
He's an exciting guy.
Exciting. I remember at the another conference was doing that. I got excited again because it is basically 2013 with a lot of improvements under the hood.
Yep.
When you're looking at power user stuff and what you can do now, you're like, oh, well, it's still content search and it's still things that a lot of times we've built. But I think one of the exciting ones is very, very simple, is the durable links, where your link works no matter what happens to your document if it gets renamed. However, it looks like you have a requirement on the Office web app server. So you need to have that web access, which is another server for that to work. Just figured that one out, yeah.
We were trying to figure that out. Like, how do you turn this on?
Yeah, you don't turn it on. It just starts working if you also have, but the new Office web app server, which is called something else, is not out yet.
But does it have to be on a separate server still?
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Would have to ask Todd.
Probably.
Yeah.
Where is he?
Where is he? Yeah, so I think that's exciting for business users, but otherwise, OneDrive for Business, actually. I'd say not the sync.
They're improving that?
Not the sync. No, I would say the OneDrive for Business user experience, the flow of what you can do. There's a new section called Site Folders, and I really enjoy
Just like
that.
in Office 365?
Just like in Office 365, right. So very nice that, I figured out, I used to think OneDrive for Business was the new My Sites, and I figured out that that's probably not the way they see it. It's more like your OneDrive. You go there, right?
Storage.
You go there. You
That is
have
so astute.
right. You have your personal storage, but you also go there to see recently modified files from everywhere, your group files, files shared with you, your site folders, so your libraries all over your site. So I go to my OneDrive and I access all my files, including my personal library. So kind of, oh.
Andrew in the chat window said, did they add any new features in workflow? I know workflow is a separate installation you have to go through, so I did not do that on mine. I doubt, Steven, did you do that?
I did not get it.
I doubt they
I don't
changed
think
it.
there's any features listed in the list of new features.
We
that
just talked about it. There was a Yam Jam this,
I just missed that. I had
Yeah.
a session. We had
and
to
I
do.
didn't. There was somebody asked a question. We'd have to go back and see, but I don't think there's any changes towards workflow as of now, at least, or that I have seen. Granted, it's been like a day.
What do you think about like the MinRole stuff? You think that'll be big for people?
I feel like it's the.
For
Oh,
admins.
there,
Oh, there you go.
I'm not an IT pro that much. So I'm like, as long as SharePoint works, how IT does it. I'm sure IT is going to be very excited, but I've seen a lot of SharePoints in the like small, medium business. They usually have one server anyway, so.
Yeah.
So,
We'll
Lori,
see.
why do you think MinRole is going to be awesome? What is it going to do?
So I liked the idea because I know for the last couple of years I've been working on trying to get people to understand streamlined topologies, better uses of resources. There are things that make more sense on the front end versus the app server. You know, app server is more for your batch processing thing. Go ahead and put things that don't require that on the front end. And it's been really hard to get people to buy into that and understand that. And I think the MinRole will help a lot with that because then you can say, this is strictly web front end, or this is a search server, or this is this. And you can then scale your resources accordingly as well because, you know, we have a lot of people that like throw everything at the web front ends and then turn off all the services, and all of the even on-demand services are all on their app servers. And they're, you know, optimum usage is like 80% of your resources, right?
Yeah.
We want them to be around that thing, and they're like not being used at all or utilized. So I think I was excited about it. I'm looking forward to building out a couple of extra servers to play with it, see how it really works.
Once you give a server a certain MinRole, certain role, can you change it later? Do you know?
Yes. You can
Yeah.
change it.
That's good.
Who
That-
joined
that would
us?
be
Who is
important.
that over there?
Introduce yourself.
Hello.
I know that
Todd,
guy.
come sit around the table.
We
Come sit
invoked
next to
your
Corey.
name earlier.
So, because we're.
That's why I'm here.
What for? I don't
It's
even
like
remember.
it's like Beetlejuice.
What do we want to know?
We invoked him. So,
How many times
who
do I
are
have to
you?
tell you people? Todd's like Voldemort.
If I read Harry Potter, maybe I did.
Todd can tell you whether MinRole is exciting or not, too.
I'm on the fence on MinRole right now, honestly.
He claims you could change it.
You can. It's a configuration.
Did you hear that? He claims.
I mean, I don't know.
I've been, yeah, I don't believe. Yeah, so MinRole is a configuration thing. It's not an installation thing. So you pick it when you join the machine.
Well, they said you could upgrade, you could change the role of any MinRole server, but if you chose the single farm one, you can't.
That's the cheater one anyways. That's the one I use when I...
Yeah, but that's the thing to keep in mind. It's a configuration, not an installation. So all the bits are there. They're just not warmed up.
So Todd Clint, whenever Ben joined a second ago, we asked him what his favorite thing was about
And he said me, right?
2016.
You're not a feature of 2016.
So,
Oh,
They haven't figured that out. They haven't quite built you into the product yet. You're almost there.
You're giving him a big head. Don't do that.
Giving him a big head, right.
It's all Randy's fault.
That's where it came from.
So, what? Anything that's your favorite of yours? I know you've been playing around with it for a while.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of things. I actually have a blog post that I keep not writing because I'm doing this thing here. It's about half done of like a bunch of things that IT pros should get excited about. One of the things that I really like is they've taken a lot of the limits away. So like the 2 gig upload limit is gone, the list view threshold is on, or close to gone. I don't like people yelling at me about stuff. So when all these limits start going away, people quit yelling at me about things. Now, of course, now I'm going to start getting yelled at because uploads fail because they're too big, and you know the internet's not big enough for upload all the Doctor Who episodes to your my sites. But I like those limits being taken away, hard limits taken away, so that I can have more control over that.
So you still is resource throttling still there? It's just
Yeah.
Is it there or
I've explored it a little bit, and I'm still like, I don't know if anyone else. I feel like I'm always classic. I'm always talking.
Oh, that's so classic.
I've played with 2016 for one day, so I know
Okay.
nothing.
So they basically the view threshold is there, and it continues to stay there because it's important to not lock the database, right? The SQL server. So that you actually need it. But the thing, there's always been a workaround, which is in a list in the library. You go to library settings and then index columns that you're going to filter and sort on. So they said if people don't go do that to not have the view threshold problem, we're going to automate that part. So now there's a library setting that's basically says, I forget, automatic.
Steven, pull that up.
Yeah, library setting. I think it's under advanced, and then all the way at the bottom, You know how you always close your eyes like SharePoint?
Yeah, let's go over to, let's go over to
Right.
Steven's screen here.
So if you go all the way at the bottom, there you go. Zoom in. Allow automatic management of indices.
indices.
I've learned the plural.
Indices.
Indices. Oh, there you go.
We say indices in Iowa. I don't know how the rest of you pronounce it, but it's yeah.
And so now it's supposed to automatically create these index columns
There's multiple of index.
to kind of like work around that 5,000 view threshold. So we still have the threshold, but we shouldn't encounter it. Now, I haven't tested it yet, so I can't really
I have
confirm.
some great PowerShell to create lots of options.
Does it default to yes then?
It's defaulted to
Default-
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Looks like
that's
it's
pretty
defaulted
cool.
to yes.
Yeah.
Or we.
We.
Yeah, all right. So did you say what your favorite thing was?
No, yeah, the
already?
limits
The
not
limits
being
thing,
as hard.
okay.
The lack of limits.
Like-
Limitless.
You know,
SharePoint.
those of you that know me know that I don't like limits. I'm
That's
just
one
always
thing that Todd's
flying,
always talking
going
about.
fast. Like,
Less
I hate
limits.
these, all these limits.
All right, so we looked at the compliance center. That was something obvious that was new. We see this one setting in document libraries that is new. I don't know, is publishing any different, or
Negative
is any
ghostwriter. There is no
branding's
differences in
not any
publishing.
different, publishing's not
I
any
mean, the
different?
big thing is going to be
I-
hybrid in a couple weeks. When they turn that on in 365, then you'll be able to connect it up. Todd's an
Oh,
expert.
the ODF thing. That's what it was.
What's ODF?
Steven. So I am
Things
Stephen
done.
right before
That sounds fun.
Lori and I went and taught our session earlier, and I said, hey, look at this, look up this ODF thing. And so Stephen, I'll let you talk about that for a second.
I didn't really do much with it. All I did is I set up one library. Yeah, should be this one. There we go. So you can set ODF files now as a content type, and they're
What is it though? What's ODF?
ODF stands for Open Document Format. So it's actually from a product called OpenOffice, but a lot of countries have started to adopt requirements that you use certain file formats. Microsoft has an open format of their own that's an XML-based file format, but there's another standard format that works for spreadsheets, Word documents, and a couple of other things. So Microsoft has expanded SharePoint to allow that document type for organizations that have settled on that as their standard format. And so I just created an ODF file. I went into Office. I opened up a blank document. I saved it as an ODF file, put it in as a template, and then create a content type for it, and then put it in the drop-down here. So if you just click on that, it says you have to have a Microsoft Office compatible.
You probably don't have Office running on your server, right?
I do not, but for whatever reason, it didn't work. I hadn't tried that. So I do have Office on my machine, and when I go in there, oh, I see what the problem is. I pointed it to the wrong. I made an incomplete link for the content type, so I'll have to fix it. I didn't include the site collection. But
We'll just let you do that live during your demo. That's fine.
yeah, why not?
Hey, while you do that, I'm going to introduce Jason. He just showed up. So
Knock yourself out.
Hello. Hello. I just showed up with my Oreos.
So who are you?
I'm Jason Himmelstein. I am the Office 365 Advisory Services Manager at Rackspace. And sorry I was late. I was prepping for my next session at 3:45. So.
That's fine. All right. So we're just chatting about SharePoint 2016. Have you
Awesome.
gotten a chance to look at it or
Yes.
read about any of the features?
Yes.
What's your favorite?
Well, I was just upstairs. We were prepping for tomorrow's Power BI demo, and there's a bunch of stuff about Excel services being deprecated in 2016. So it's
Is that bad?
Is that a favorite thing or a?
it's not a favorite thing. The problem is that they're calling it a deprecation. What's actually happened is they've shoved all of the stuff into the right place. Finally, it's all going into the Office Online functionality now. So you know the endpoint that you can hit, the REST API, all that stuff is still there. It's just not in SharePoint anymore. It's now in the Excel Online version, and the web app, the web part's all there. Yeah.
Is that? Oh, okay.
So they've renamed that. They renamed that last year at some
yeah.
point. Office Online on-prem.
Yeah. Which is good because we had that problem before where if you wanted Excel documents to go one way, then you associate them with the Office web apps. If you wanted to do different things, you had to do the Office. I got a little shot on the camera. The Excel services, but you couldn't do both. And so, yeah, I'm with Jason. It's a good thing.
So not having to go into PowerShell and and tell it don't do this is nice. So it's a good thing. So yes, it is a favorite thing because it seems like they're doing the right thing now. So.
As a 365 guy, are you stoked that it now looks exactly like 365 in the on-prem product?
Yeah,
For now.
No, I rely on you for the pretty. So for me, it's I only do things in Office 365 at this point. I keep my head in the clouds completely. So I keep off on-prem. Now, what's really thrilling to me is all the hybrid stuff. It's the fact that we're finally hitting an acceleration point where the users are going to start seeing more functionality coming in the cloud, that their businesses are going to look at it and say, we finally are ready to start looking and heading that way. So to me, it's a really good thing.
Nice. All right, let's see. So maybe Steven got his thing fixed.
Did I blabber on enough?
It still doesn't like it for whatever reason. It's got the information here, but then when I say this, it says it can't. It doesn't recognize the command it was given, but I don't know why. You've muted yourself or something again.
I was looking for that blog post. I was looking for that TechNet article they put up that just had a list of all the new features, and so that new document format was in there.
Under Library, and then go to SharePoint. And then go to
I was just trying to look at my recent sites,
I don't think
but
just paying SharePoint 2016 preview.
And I even tweeted it out. I could just go look at Twitter.
Go ahead and give Jason the finger and get it over.
So I'm going to go find that because that Office, the resilient link, what was it called?
Durable links.
Durable. Resilient.
and indices.
Resilient link thing was in there. That Office format thing was in there.
Links.
So I was just going to look at that. Good grief. Yeah. So Stephen, I'll just let you click around for a minute while I go look for that.
And live.
So even if it was working, it wouldn't be like an exceptional thing. The ODF files look exactly like the regular Word files. It's just a different file format that Office already speaks. So it's just a way to add that into SharePoint so that if that is the standard format that your organization has chosen, you can avoid having to do any kinds of conversions or anything like that. You just choose in the drop-down that you want a new document, and instead of a Word document, you use the ODF document template. That probably means, and I don't know this for sure, but that probably means that search is going to start understanding that document format. If it doesn't already, I've never actually tested to see if it does. And I imagine that if it doesn't in the product right now, it will by the time it releases. We can still see you, Laura.
He's just pointing at Corey.
I love that job.
What? Okay, so Corey had something he was going to talk about. What was that?
In the Microsoft keynote today at SP TechCon, one of the things they demonstrated that we just brought up in the new features in SharePoint 2016 is that they do live image and video previews while in the library for SharePoint sites. So when you hover over a link in SharePoint, it'll actually show the image or show a preview of the video just while on the screen without having to actually select it.
Is that similar to kind of when you have Office web apps and you have the image of the document? Okay.
It looks odd nods, yeah.
It looked like it, yes.
Nice. All right. All right. So yeah, we were just kind of skimming through that little list of new and improved features. I'm going to put that in a little showcase link in here, and if somebody did it. Somebody put it in the Q&A for me.
Thanks, Mark Dayton.
Thanks, Mark. All
You're
right.
the best.
And if you've never come to one of these before, if you're looking at it in the Google Hangout, you have a little icon at the top right that's got some squares on it, and that will let you flip over to the Q&A app to be able to ask us questions in here. But I'll go ahead and put that in the little showcase app to share the new improved features, and I also tweeted it out yesterday. Large file support, MinRole, mobile experience, new controls for working with OneDrive, project servers built in.
We don't know if it's included in the price, but it's included in the product.
I was just hoping they were going to kill that thing.
Yeah.
So now, keep saying things out loud.
Is there anything like in this list of stuff that's something that Stephen would be able to just quickly go pull up on the screen that is actually a functionality we could see?
Well, so the whole mobile equal one thing.
We did that
already.
We did
You
that
missed
already.
all the excitement.
Oh, for God's
It's like one of the
sakes.
most visible things.
Come on.
And it's funny because they call it responsive, but it's just a mobile page.
It's not, I don't believe it's responsive. Yeah.
It's just a
resized.
mobile page. Responsive
It
would mean your
responds.
team site
Yeah.
gets
That's
adjusted.
the mobile view, but
Well, no,
on the regular pages, if you start adjusting the size, it does adjust.
yeah.
and
They
Oh,
showed
really?
during
so it is
during the
responsive.
keynote,
Yeah.
he did show
Yeah.
that.
So
Do
it
it.
is responsive.
Yeah.
Steven, do it. Prove it to me.
Even
Yeah.
a team site?
Resize
Because they said
the
they
team
didn't touch the
site.
team site
I'm not
template
buying-
today.
I'm not.
I don't
I'm
know.
not buying this. Dude. I'm not buying it. Steven, resize it. There's no way.
Let's do it right now.
There's no way that thing is responsive.
All right, now it's just broken. You guys broke it. Broke everything. There we go. So
But that's normal.
Yeah, the
It's a
mobile view
mobile
would
view.
be responsive, but like if you're in the desktop view, it's not going to switch to that when you shrink it down.
It doesn't
is it?
switch to the mobile view, but it did compress images and move them around.
All right,
Yes.
let's see desktop view of the
Right.
home
That's desktop
page of
view.
your team site. Rejigger it. I want to see this.
Let's resize that.
Here's the thing, you're saying it wrong. It's responsive. So it is responding, therefore it's responsive.
It's
Yeah.
like,
different.
yeah.
It was a different template though that he had. It wasn't the team site template.
Yeah.
It wasn't the template. But I know the blog template also was.
So what he might have been is in the new experiences like the video portal or
Office 365.
yeah, in Office
Yeah.
365. It might like if you're in the what's the like the My page or whatever.
Oh yeah, the Delve profiles.
Yes, that.
so he was in
Yeah,
That would that
those are
might be
responsive,
responsive,
but they're
yeah.
not on Prem
It's not. Yeah,
2016.
it didn't make it into this version at least.
I would
But
assume
they said they won't. So
they're not going to.
no, they said unless they get a lot of.
Yeah, but they say a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah, but right now it doesn't.
Right now, there is no Delve profiles or Delve blogs or point publishing. That's all Office
Next gen
365.
portals. That
So they're
kind of
not going to bring
things.
Delve into
No.
on-prem at all.
No, because they said they have the hybrid cloud search, which allows Delve to include the content.
Okay.
But they're not bringing Delve or point publishing, the stories, the blogging, into the on-prem version.
Yeah, I think that was a confusing thing from Ignite. They almost made it sound like it was coming down to the on-prem version, but it's really not. It's like
Hybrid.
you're using the 365 Delve
Yeah.
experience to hit your files
Your
that are-
content, yeah.
that are on your
So they're
prem. Yeah.
yeah. So it's just going to end up as a hybrid solution.
Okay. It's all about hybrid.
I see in the list of improvements, Stephen, it says create and share folder, sharing hint, see who the folder is shared with when viewing the folder, members can share, improved invitation mail, and one-click email to approve or deny a request for access. So those, is anything obvious that you can see that around like putting a file in there and sharing it, or just create a list item or something, and see if the giving permission to having the share button looks any different. I know he probably doesn't have any Word documents and things on his server there, so that's why I said list item might be helpful.
yeah, I don't have any lists either though.
What have you been doing?
What have you been doing all day? You're fired.
I just installed it. Like that's all I do, man. I just install it.
Yeah, just whip up a new list, or yeah, there you go. You got it.
So that's interesting. Compliance details.
That is. So let's look at that again. Oh, that's
yeah.
compliance details is not new. That has to do with information management policies, I think.
Yeah, that hasn't changed since.
So what else was in there, though? I mean, because that looks very trimmed down. Policies. No, wait. Is that what that says? Follow. Okay. Follow and then workflows. Does it?
They just reorganized the menu.
So this was what Bill talked about in keynote at last week's thing that Ben and I were at, where they're talking about how they've gone to a minimalistic view. So if you notice, if you go back a page, you'll see there are very few things sitting there in the doc library. Things are hidden away in the ribbon now, a lot more. And the drop-down menus, users don't care about most of that stuff that's there.
So true.
So they've hidden it away in the ribbon because people are used to going to the ribbon to find the thing they can't find at this point. So we've trained people to, go hunting in the ribbon at least, and so for the quick things that they're looking for, find it there. The compliance stuff that they showed off last week as well, finding things a lot easier in the on-prem, where some of the policy center stuff that we're used to in Office 365 is coming down on-prem as well. So.
And the share is only for document libraries, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's the new ribbon that they took from Office 365, I think.
Okay.
Is only for libraries.
See, I told you the document library changed a little bit. It's that thing at the
the Office 365 toolbar.
right. It's like at the top of where there's like a few
You got
icons.
share, manage, sync.
So have them check out a document.
So Stephen, you're going to have to actually find a document somewhere and put it in
like a text file in there.
SharePoint.
Or at least go to a
Well, no, not a
document
text file. You're not going to get the same effect, right? I don't know.
Well, if you upload the text file, sharing is.
There should be a large it's Word doc somewhere.
There's a PowerShell command that you can use to create documents in document library.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Ooh, what is that?
I have a whole blog post about that.
Nice.
What is the benefit of it?
I use it to
testing.
test creating like thousands of documents in the document library.
That's
Performance
Seb Matthews.
I stole half of it
SebMatthews.net.
from top.
Yeah, Seb Matthews has a set of code that actually will go off. He's got a data dictionary that actually goes and pulls content. So when it does searching, it populates content into it. So he's got a taxonomy. So it'll go off and it will pull two different names and stuff them together. So you get like giraffe runaways. Because he had one that was zoological and one that was crime history and stuff like that. So, for the taxonomy and fun stuff like
Crime
that.
history. That could be fun.
Just all sorts of different, So that's SebMatthews.net.
All right, so Stephen, click the share button, please.
Oh, but see, now you have share right there above it, too. So if you've got it checked, you can just click share in the
Yeah, that was the menu that Benjamin was talking about. Above one.
Yeah, right there where it says share.
Yeah.
It's like a mini ribbon underneath of the ribbon.
A ribbon in the ribbon.
Yes.
And it's below the cog that's underneath the cog.
Yeah. They already covered that.
That's how you can tell where it's at.
Don't you, didn't you,
ribbon.
before we had the advanced button there that you could click. Once you clicked share, right, Stephen? You could click advanced and it would actually give you the regular like permission screen, or it would let you pick what group to put them in, or there you go. You have to kind of dig to find that advanced screen.
So now you can share a folder, which you couldn't before. I guess that's a big thing, maybe. Or
so yeah, go ahead and create a folder, Stephen.
Well, that would be interesting. You could share a whole folder.
Cool.
No, yeah, go to
not
the
enabled in the
file.
library?
Go to the files tab. Files tab.
New folder.
Oh, and invite people.
people.
Oh,
There
that's a
you
new
go.
button. There we go.
I know that.
Interesting.
you can do it while
okay.
you create it.
Get
That's
out.
awesome. Can edit or can view. Oh, nice. So go ahead and just do you have any individuals in there where you can just put somebody else's name in there with can edit?
So has anybody looked at the limitation on the scopes of permissions? Because I know there was limitations in previous versions of permission scopes. I don't know if there's any.
Let's go look at the regular permission screen too, Stephen, and see if that looks any different with like, permissions that are not inheriting and stuff like that.
For this item?
Just the library itself, just like the regular library permissions page. Oh, no, that looks the same.
Yes.
Yeah, it did the limited access thing when we gave that individual folder.
Where's the limited access?
Oh, it's at the top in yellow?
Yeah, it says there are limited, yeah.
Okay.
That's a new little message, I guess. So we got 4 minutes left, so I guess we just better wrap this up or something.
Yeah, it's just like before.
Yeah. So
This goes through.
in summary, I guess my quick, just sort of summary, my personal summary is that there are a ton of enhancements and improvements on the server side, the performance side, for you admins out there. Lots to read about and dig into. As far as end user experience, it doesn't. I'm not offended that there aren't dramatic changes in there because again, it's not a huge amount of training that you'll have to redo, and there are going to be a few things here and there. But this is only a preview, so there might be more.
There could be more previews.
Later. So I'm going to go ahead and like just kind of show the whole group here. Oh, I'll just click on that screen. It just shows at the bottom for people who are looking. There we go. Get the whole. So any kind of last thoughts there? We've got just a couple minutes left. I'm not very good at this. It was very on the fly. There we go. Thanks everybody for coming. That was a lot of fun having this live and just having just a almost random group of people show up.
Almost. I
created an Outlook invite and just like put a few people's names in it and hit send.
And it worked.
And they showed up. So. Yeah. So thanks everybody, and again, Power Hours every Wednesday at 11 Central, usually. And thanks for coming, and I will see you. I don't know what I'm doing next time, but I'll see you guys then. So we'll stop the
Bye, everybody.
Bye.